So we will start with the for loop first, and then we can continue with the other loops one by one. So let's start the for loop. How the for loop looks like? We write in this way. As already we have seen that whatever loop doesn't matter, you must require two variables at least. One is counter variable and one is limit variable, right? So you may not have any limit variable in every time. You may it hard code a specific value every time. So for loop is written in the way something like for within this I have three part. Okay, I have three part separated by semicolon. This part is called initialization. Sorry, just a minute. Say let's write here for there are three parts separated by semicolon. This part is called initialization. This part is called condition checking, and this part is called change of loop variable. What does change means? Change means it depends on the logic. Means you can increment it, you can decrement it, you can divide it, you can multiply it. So it totally depends upon the logic. Always remember one thing. This initialization, condition checking, change of loop variable is all are reflected over here. This is part of initialization. This is part of condition checking. And this is a part for change of loop variable. Loop variable means the counter variable that actually holds how many times the loop has been executed. You see, similarly this has been reflected in this way over here. And whatever you will write within the for loop, you must write within a bracket. This is what we call the statement. Within bracket I am writing is means either one statement or you may have only one statement. For example over here this is what the statement is. But in this case I have only one statement, but it is not true that every time we'll have only one statement. You may have multiple statements and very complex logic even within a for loop, right? But the number of statements, even it is one, you should practice keeping bracket because you are a beginner of learning this language. And how this for loop executes, I hope you can now easily realize because you have already idea about execution of this one, entry control loop. The same way it will follow. So that means if I want to add, suppose the first program, if I consider that add say uh, add 1 to n. Add from 1, add 1 to n. Say 1 to 5. Means what? What does it mean? It means something like this. Now, obviously, it's very easy. 1 plus 2 plus 3 means 15. But question is that how we will do this? You cannot write multiple addition statements because instead of 5 it is 500, then what you will do, right? So just closely watch this scenario that I have written f equal to, let's enlarge this one and let's try to realize that how we can do this. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Just do one thing. I can say that this one can be also written as 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, right? Something like this. Now see, 0 plus this one, if I make a bracket, I can say that 0 plus within a bracket 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. If I make this part only, consider this is what I can write: 1 plus within a bracket 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Then this part I can write 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. And this is what I can write: 3 plus 4 plus 5. Something like this. So basically what actually you are doing. Oh, by the way, I have a mistake. I'm sorry. It's better to realize in a different way. Let's try to realize in a different way, not this one. This realization will be required, but for another case. Let's try to realize in a different way. For example, let's try to realize with 0 plus 1 plus this one. What is this? This is 1 plus now 2 plus this one. What is this? 3 plus 3, this 3 plus 4 plus 5. This is what? 6 plus what? 4 plus 5. And this is from here 10 plus 5, which is ultimately equal to 15. This should be my result. But you see how I have done this. I have added two terms. The result of these two terms I have added with the third term. I have got a new result. This new result I have added with another term, next term, in this way. So if you think that means I can say that what is this? This is, you can say that, initial summation value. Right? When you have not yet added, initial summation value is 0. And what I can do, I can say that something like, let's write it. Say if I write that C equal to A plus B, where A representing 0 and B representing 1 over here, next time, it must be in a loop somewhere, somehow. Next time when these statements will get executed again, this A should contain 1, because this is for time being, this is representing A, this is representing B. Next time in this particular case, this is representing A and this is representing B. Next time in this case, this is representing A and this is B. Then this is A and this is B. Then this is A and this is B. And as a whole result. So when A and B is 0, A is 0, B is 1, I have got this result in C. Fine. Next time when this statement will get executed again, this A must contain this one. What is this one? This one is actually what was C in my previous, according to the previous assumption. That means what I can say, that whatever result C should come in A. That means you must write over here A equal to C, so that next time when it will execute, A will contain the new result, right? But what about B? What B will contain? You see, B must contain the next term. You see, you are taking, this is term number 1 over here, then term number 2, this one, then term number 3, then term number 4, then term number 5. So basically what I can say over here, that this B is actually representing different term which is incremented by 1 and started from 1 till 5. This can be the loop variable in my for loop. So I can write the for loop where B can be started from 1. I will increase this B 1 by 1, B equal to B plus 1 I can write. Right? Because ultimately you see term is increased by 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And this is what I require. So I started B from 1. I have incremented B once. And what is the criteria? B must not, go beyond 5. So the criteria can be B must be less than or equal to 5. That's all. If this is true, and then if I do in this way, what will happen? I will get this result. How I'll see? Let's see. Let's try to realize it. Let's try to analyze this program. So, for example, at the very beginning, when the program is just yet to start, let's write the variable names over here. Okay, this is what I'm showing you, how to dry run a program. Before running the program by the computer, how you will check what computer will result. That is what we call dry run. So I do in this way, you can follow my approach. So I have written all the variables that I have in my program, and then exactly I know that what are the orders of execution, right? Because this will execute first, then checking, if this is true, then this to execute, then it will execute. After executing this, again checking will be done. If it is true, again this will execute, then this one, and it will continue, right? So B equal to 1, so initialize B by 1. ঠিক আছে? B lesser than 5, it is true? Yes, it is true. Since it is true, by the way, I have a mistake. Already I have got a mistake. What is the mistake? That what is the initial value of A? I have not written. A must be initialized by 0. Because I have considered A is this one, which is the initial summation value. So initial summation value A I have considered 0. That means A is 0. Now if A is 0 and B is 1, if this A 1 lesser than 5 is true, that means 0 plus 1 equal to 1. So C will contain now 1 for execution this statement. Then now this will execute. So when this will execute, what will happen? A equal to C. That means whatever present in C will come in A. Right? That mean I can say that I can say that whatever was in C, that is 1, will come in A. That means 0 will vanish and instead of 0, 1 will come. In this way I do my dry run. I vanish the, I cut the old value and put the new value in that variable. So variable A become 1. Now nothing in the statement written, so you can write over here, bracket is completed, something like this. So now what will happen again after executing this statement? What will happen? B will be continued, right? So B will be equal to B plus 1. That means B will be now 2. So 2 lesser than 5 is true. Yes, it will come here. Now what is content of A? Content of A is 1. Content of B is 2. 1 plus 2 equal to 3. So new value of C will be equal to 3. As soon as new value of C will be 3, new value of A will be copied. New value of A will be copied from C also. That means content of A will be equal to 3. Fine. Again B will be incremented by 1. So now B will become equal to 3. When B equals 3, 3 lesser than 5 is true. Yes, true. So that means now A plus B. A is what? A contains 3. B contains 3. That means 3 plus 3 6. So content of C will be 6. As soon as content of C will be 6, A will be also 6 because of this line. So A will be 6. And then B will be incremented by 1. So B will be now 4. When B will be 4, 4 lesser than 5, it is true? Yes, it is true. So A plus B. What is content of A? 6. What is content of B? 4. That means 6 plus 4 equal to 10. So content of C will be equal to 10 now. As soon as content of C will be equal to 10, content of A will be equal to 10 also. So content of A will be equal to 10 also. When content of A is 10, and then what will happen after executing these two lines? B will equal to B plus 1 will execute. So that means B will become 5. So after doing this, what will happen? Check will be checked. 5 lesser than equal to 5. Is it true? Yes, true. Lesser than, no, false, but it's little lesser than equal to. That means lesser or equal to. So B is 5. 5 is lesser equal to 5 is true. Yes. So that means these two statements will execute. So first let's take this one, A plus B. What is content of A? 10. What is content of B? 5. That means 10 plus 5 will be equal to 15. That means now content of C will be equal to 15. As soon as content of C will become 15, it will come in A also because of this second line. So now A will become 15 again. And then what will happen? Now B will be incremented by 1 again. So B will be now 6. And when A is B is 6 and 6 lesser than 5 is false. As soon as 6 lesser than 5 will be false, this two statement will never execute and your loop stops. So when your loop stops, you will see that your result is present in, maybe you can consider A or consider C, both. You see, your result is present. This is what my result should be. Now I can make this program actually little bit simpler. If I say that, you see one thing, you are writing suppose two instruction. For example, just I'm telling you that A equal to B and then you are writing C equal to A. What does it mean? These two statements can be written only in one line, C equal to B, right? Because ultimately what is coming into A is going to C. So C equal to B is correct. The same situation happen over here. You are writing A plus B storing into C, fine, and then you are initializing C. I mean, you are actually copying the content of C into A. So instead of C writing over here, you can write directly A over there. That means writing these two lines is same as writing A equal to A plus B, right? If you write only one line in this particular for loop, then also it will work in the same way where C will not even used. Only these two variables will be sufficient. Now always remember one thing, that when you will write a program, as a programmer, you must remember something, some guideline about writing program. At least in case of for loop, or in case of the very basic guideline regarding what we have is about declaration of a variable name. You must declare a variable name according to their use, so that it will be easier to realize when the program will be debugged by some other person, even by you. If the program is very small, then it will be not be a problem. But if the program will be complex, when the program will be complex, then the situation will be too difficult if you have a logical error. And that is why it is my suggestion that always declare variable depends on their use. For example, here A is actually storing the result. If you forget about C for time being, because we have seen that if you write this particular statement only, then you don't need even C. Only by this statement you can compute the result. That is 15. That means A will contain the result, and A is representing the initial sum, right? That's why the correctly, if I just write the program correctly, now let's write it. If I start from the very beginning, it should be something like, obviously I must have hash include something. I'm ignoring that part. If I consider from the main part, I the variable that I will declare is for storing the result should be equal to sum. Should be sum. As per my choice, because this sum variable name actually, if some other person want to read this program, this variable name, from this variable name actually he or she will get some idea that maybe this particular variable is storing some summation result. At least this idea is very vital when debugging is required. Okay, by the way, obviously the summation value must be equal to 0, because this is storing initial sum, and in maybe the length. Okay, I'm not taking in, I mean the maximum part. So I'm taking the loop variable I, and then what I will do, I will simply start writing this loop. So if I write the for loop, I'll write in this way. So you see, I've taken I, not B. Why? Because generally it is seen that I, J, K, L, this type of variables are mostly used as a loop variable instead of ABC. Okay, so I mean you can write I equal to 0, I equal to say 1, yes, I less than equal to 5, and one more thing, this b equal to b plus 1, this one you can also write as b plus plus. Okay, I will tell you about this plus plus operator later in other class, but for timing you just know this, that b equal to b plus 1 can be written as b plus plus. So I can write here directly I plus plus. Okay, and within bracket I will simply write sum equal to sum plus I. That's all. You see, you are actually doing the same job. Maybe I've forgotten to write get ch, CLRS here, but just for you can ignore this. Okay, I'm not writing exact code. Maybe there is some statements are absent, but logically they are not required every time. It's not required that CLRS has to be there every time in your program. GetCH has to be there in your program. It depends upon sometimes the compiler, sometimes the programmer. It depends. Okay. So, but the statements which are very much required for the calculation is this. This is the part of the logic. So I will, as a programmer, we will concentrate on the logic part only, mainly logic part. Okay. So now if you just write the print statement, obviously printf, say result is %d. You can write in this way where you will have the result in the sum variable. So you can have a program something like this. You see, understanding a equal to x plus b, understanding, I mean, the statements that I have written over here, that sum equal to sum plus I is much more clear than writing program a equal to a plus b. In this particular, if you for a time being just forget about what you for just assume that you are a new person, you have just started reading this program. At that point of time, if you read both programs and if I ask you to compare, obviously you will say that understanding this line sum equal to sum plus I will be much more clear than a equal to a plus b, in the sense that some variable itself representing is going to store some summation result which is not reflected in these variables a or b, something like this. But I'm telling you again, but this is not wrong. The approach that I have written first, this approach is not wrong. This is not wrong. This is correct. But this approach I have written is, you can say, conventionally expected. That is the difference. Okay. So in this way we can use the for loop, and we will see the difference of the, I mean, different type of situation in for loop and many other complex issues in the next class.